Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel, Space Cadet Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, folks of all stripes, and distinguished guests, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for die-hard Houston sports fans, from a die-hard Houston sports fan. I, of course, am Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite die-hard Astros fan podcaster, and as always, feel free to add as many additional qualifiers to that statement to make it true. I am an entertainer, writer, creative multi-hyphenate, but most importantly, I'm a proud Houston native, and I have the receipts to prove it. I have eaten more Shipley's donuts than you. That is not hyperbole or an opinion. That's just straight up fact. Come at me if you have the data to dispute that. I've spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer in Los Angeles, and now, well, I'm podcasting. That's what happens when you spend more than a decade out here. The mayor just shows up at your house and gives you podcasting equipment. I'd like to say good day, mates, and bienvenidos to new listeners. This is a comedy/Houston sports show where we try not to be too emotional, too hot-takey, or ridiculous sports guy here. I'm a fan podcaster, and I try to be aware of that. We have our opinions, we have our emotions, but we try to remember we've elected to be fans, and we should enjoy this life as best we can in this wild, wild world. Shout out to Cat Stevens. On today's episode, folks, Altuve is back. Hader is back. I mean, look, Space Cadet is back. There's lots to rejoice about when it comes to returns for your Houston Astros. Also, ketchup and mustard is back on the menu, boys. And we check in with Dynamo Corner. We check in with the future Houston Comets. We check in with the Connecticut Sun. Lots to talk about, seeing that we have not been podcasting for quite some time. I'd like to welcome new listeners and welcome returning listeners to what my brothers call the Paul Broad Pod Ball Blog. Hey, brothers. Shout out to my brothers. They're both Milford men. Shout out to Arrested Development fans. And, of course, shout out to the subscribers on the Substack. Check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog. Excuse me, I didn't do my vocal warm-ups. I just jumped straight into this. But check it out for the full blog experience. As always, we're recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, where I'm joined by my co-host and co-producer, The Roz, to my Frasier. Carla, the dog, is here with me, and we are listening. She's got the hot takes on this podcast. And, of course, I'd like to welcome new producer, baby Katarina, who is also allowed to chime in whenever she wants. We listen to women on this podcast, folks. If you don't want baby sounds or dog sounds in the background of your podcast, you have plenty of options. But let's get to it. Vamos. Folks, first and foremost, I apologize for being absent for quite some time, but if I had the choice of being an absentee podcaster or an absentee father, I think you know. I know what I'd choose. I know what you would choose. I'm learning parenting as I go. This is my first baby, so I've been very happy in Babyland, taking care of my baby. We have traveled with the baby. It's been a lot of fun, but I've now am back to podcasting. I'm going to try to do some more writing for the season. It has been a great time to have some parental bonding, but that's for another podcast, I assume, at least. Not one that I'm producing currently, don't worry. But, just saying, I apologize for the absence, but I have been doing important and great work. We've been watching lots of Astros together. Baby Katarina loves watching the games. We're trying to limit her screen time, even though we want her to be a diehard Astros fan. We can't just spend 3 hours a day watching a baseball game. So she gets cranky when she doesn't have Astros in her life. I'm sure you are the same. But let's get to it. Let's talk about those Houston Astros. Your Houston Astros have had a rough season. There's no doubt about it. I am not hiding away because I've been bummed out about the season. It's been tough. But currently, as it stands, for those of you who are just unfamiliar or you just regurgitate whatever the 80 AM radio talk show hosts say, or the angry X-boys on X, formerly known as Twitter, there's plenty of anger to go around in the sports world, but right now, the Astros are 29-36. Definitely not where we want them to be. We'd like them to be head of the division. We'd like them to lose 0 games, to be honest, but that's not how baseball works. I'd like to remind you that it is early June and there's a lot of baseball to be played. And even though that record isn't great, even though we are in summer, the Astros are only 5 games behind the division-leading Seattle Mariners, who are 34-31. While they have been on a bit of a hot streak lately, the Mariners, that is, they haven't been like world beaters this season. They're not so good that I'm worried the Astros can't catch them. Now, we'll get to how the Astros can catch them later. I'm not just assuming they can do that easily either. I'm not delusional, okay? I'm not so sleep deprived that I'm delusional. I've been very fortunate to be blessed with a baby that is liking sleeping. So, I'm starting to feel refreshed. I'm starting to sleep through the night, not to make you other parents jealous. But I'm not delusional. I'm not trying to sit here and say the Astros are going to win the division. Lock it in. If you go back, you get the receipts. Go back to the preseason podcast. I said that this team is more likely destined for a wild card spot this season than a division leading season. However, the Mariners haven't taken the division and ran away with it. It's not like that is outside of the realm of possibility. So, if you've been bummed about this season, you have been worried about it, or if you've just frankly not been paying attention because you've seen the injury list pile up and you're like, I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if I can watch another full baseball season with 25 guys on the injured list. I'm obviously exaggerating. See, that's what we do in comedy. We exaggerate. We have hyperbole. But obviously, this has not been the healthiest team. I understand for plenty of reasons why people might not have been paying attention. But if you haven't been paying attention, it's not all lost. Not all is not lost. I'm checking the colloquialism dictionary. I'm mixing metaphors. I don't know what I'm saying. Look, I've tried to get coffee. Okay, I've tried. There's no amount of coffee in this world that will make me make sense. But I'm attempting. All of that to be said, folks, is this Astros team can catch fire in the summer. And that's something they've done historically. They historically have had slower starts. They kind of find some momentum in the dog days of summer, maybe dip off a little bit, and then try to finish the season strong. I think that while this is a bit of a frustrating season so far, they have the capability to bounce back. And why is that? Why would Paul say something so delusional? Well, they're starting to get healthy. Now, obviously, there are cases like Carlos Correa, who's out for the season. There are huge question marks like Lance McCullers Jr., like Christian Javier, where we're really not sure what, if any, contributions they can make to the team this season. We do have plenty of exciting Astros coming back from injury. Jose Altuve just came back last night. That's right, Altuve's oblique strain is over. He bounced back a little quicker than most. He is back with the squad, and honestly, we need Altuve there. I think Brandon Shoemake filled in admirably. We had Nick Allen play some second base. We had Bryce Matthews play some second base. We had Isaac Paredes there in a pinch. But this team needs Altuve. Carlos Correa, we've said, was kind of like their swag champ, their their vibes leader, if you will. And while Altuve is not the guy that's going to get in anybody's face or put a finger in anybody's chest, he leads by example. He's been there forever. The clubhouse really respects him. So it's good to have a guy like him back, not just for his on-field contributions, but because of what he brings to the clubhouse. And there have been people that have been critical of Altuve's contributions this season. He's definitely not the put him at the top of the lineup type player anymore. But he is still very good. He has still had a very good season. He's started off strong, slumped a little bit, got injured, but the team needs a guy like Altuve, so it's great to see him back in the lineup. There's more consistency now available. I think he'll probably be resting a little more than probably he would like or fans would like until he gets fully healthy. But we're so happy to see Altuve back, at least on the podcast here, folks. Another huge thing, probably more important than Altuve, definitely maybe not in our hearts, but Josh Hader has returned as well. And now on this podcast, in the past, frequently we've said, Brian Abreu, we'll figure it out. Brian Abreu, he'll bounce back. He's been great his whole career. But Brian Abreu has had a miserable season, definitely by his standards, but just from a bullpen perspective, he has not pitched that many games. It seems like Joe Espada was trying to ease him back, and then for a while it seemed like they were just hiding him a little bit because he just has not been that effective. And it's one thing when you have a bullpen arm that you're just trying to figure out, trying to get back to what they're capable of. But with Josh Hader gone, we really were depending on Brian Abreu to be that closer. And Eniel De Los Santos and Brian King really have stepped up in those roles, but they're not Josh Hader. They're not typical closers. So we needed Josh Hader back, and as soon as Josh Hader was back, he was there getting a save for your Houston Astros. And with Hader there, with the offense doing better than they have in the last couple of years at least, with the pitching rotation starting to get better, we need to be able to close out games, and it's great to have Hader back. We are primed for this team getting some momentum. And don't look now, in the rearview mirror, Hunter Brown is returning. He's having rehab starts. His next start might not even be a rehab start. His next start might be with the Astros. That's the whispers. That's the rumors on the street. So we have a lot to be happy about. But folks, before we continue talking about what we have to be happy about, before we talk about some of the Astros moves, and before we maybe even figure out what we can criticize about this team, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I'll do my vocal warm-ups. I'll see you on the other side.
H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your irreverent host, Paul Salazar Jr., super fan, Superman? No, I don't know. I didn't have anything to come back with. I have no notes right now. I should have thought about what I said or what I was going to say, but that's not how we do it here. Part of the comedy is me trying to produce a podcast, I guess. But let's get to it. We have plenty of things to talk about since we have not talked in a couple of weeks. But we have a new Astro, Lamonte Wade Jr., who was recently signed by the team. He just hit his first home run in an Astros jersey today, maybe about an hour ago now. Right now, as of the recording of this podcast, the Houston Astros are beating the A's from nowhere. No city on that team. Currently, they're winning 1-7. Yordan Alvarez hit a grand salami. Lamonte Wade Jr. hit his first home run in an Astros jersey. We're looking good right now to beat the Athletics, so that's good. Look, I don't want to say too much because anything can happen. It's still I believe the fifth inning right now, so there's plenty of baseball left in that game. But the point is what I'm trying to talk about without my notes. I'm getting super tangential today. I apologize for that, but also longtime listeners know that's just what this podcast is. Lamonte Wade Jr. is with the Astros trying to rebound from just some slump that he's been in, being DFA'd by his team, signed with the Astros because they're taking a shot on him, mostly because the young core of outfielders just were not quite cutting it. With we all like Zach Cole, Zach DeZenzo, Shea Whitcomb was playing some outfield for a little bit, but those guys just sadly weren't quite bringing the consistency that a team that is towards the bottom of the American League West needs. Like if we were a rebuilding team, sure, let the young guys play, let them figure it out, but they just weren't quite cutting it. And when you have Jake Myers and Cam Smith in your outfield, those guys really flash the leather, and while they might slump from time to time offensively, defensively they bring a lot more than what DeZenzo, Whitcomb, and Zach Cole bring to the table. So those outfielders are now all back in Sugarland. They have been optioned back to the minors, and they're taking a shot on a veteran, Lamonte Wade Jr. And look, they got Daniel Johnson earlier this season. They also my mind is blanking, but they also picked up a guy off of waivers from the White Sox. There's been a lot of outfielders this season. There has been a lot of players coming in because of injuries, for sure. I'm not trying to say they just had no plan. Joey Loperfido is in Sugarland as well, I should say. They went with Lamonte Wade Jr. over Loperfido in this case. They want to see what Wade Jr. can bring. They kind of see what Joey Loperfido brings to the table, and maybe he will be back if the Lamonte Wade Jr. experiment doesn't quite work out. But they did have a plan to play the young guys this season, and it hasn't given the results that a team in this position needs. If this team was at the top of the AL West, if they were healthy, perhaps they'd be able to let the young guys be here. But here we are. And I guess I bring this up mostly because we are missing Mauricio Dubon. And not just personally. I miss mi primo. I always said it looks like he's part of my family. He could be one of my cousins. But Mauricio Dubon had such flexibility. He could play the infield. He could play the outfield. He hit fairly well. And don't look now, folks. If you did not know, Mauricio Dubon now plays with the Atlanta Braves, and he has hit 3 home runs in the past 3 games. He looks great this season. And it's tough because obviously when you had like 75 infielders like the Astros did at the beginning of this season before people got injured, they were kind of looking around and seeing that maybe Mauricio Dubon wasn't really going to be an everyday player with the team. And they traded him away for Nick Allen, who, we mentioned is no Mauricio Dubon, and that's no disrespect to him. He's a great defender, but not exactly a consistent hitter. Mauricio Dubon isn't the most consistent hitter, but we knew he had it in him. When he took over for Jose Altuve in the season that Altuve had a thumb injury in the World Baseball Classic, regular reps for Dubon made him really good. It was only he gets inconsistent when he got into consistent playing time. And so with more regular reps as a utility guy for Atlanta, he has really been shining. And it seems like that's the type of player that this team is missing, with this many rotating outfielders, with Braden Shoemake and Nick Allen playing so much infield in the last month or so with Altuve gone and Carlos Correa gone. It really seemed like the Astros moved Dubon way too early. And you can say that in hindsight, that's for sure. At the time, I was like, I don't like it, but I understand why they made that move. And now I don't like it on any level. I think if the Astros had Dubon, they would be in a much better position. Now, I'm not saying they'd be leading the AL West, but they definitely would not have had to make so many roster moves and bring in so many people to see if they can figure out how the outfield is going to shake out. So, I hope Lamonte Wade Jr. works out, not just for the Astros' sake, but of course, for the players' sake. If you're wearing Houston on your chest, I'm going to root for you. even if it's just been for a day. So we're hoping Lamonte Wade Jr. gets really starts to figure it out, comes out of his slump, that this home run today is the beginning of an offensive resurgence for this guy. But and I'm not trying to be too negative, but if this Astros team starts to flounder, if this season does not go the way that us as fans, the front office of the Astros want it to go, that Mauricio Dubon trade will look terrible. Especially if Dubon keeps lighting it up, and especially if he wins another Gold Glove. The guy just looks good right now. But moving on, I don't want to be just all negative all the time. This is supposed to be a positive podcast for fans. Look, this is supposed to be a podcast where if you're a diehard fan and you listen to all the hot takes and all the podcasts, you can get on this one and get a little bit of sour cream to cool off that palate. Or it's supposed to be a podcast where if you're a fan but you're not exactly a diehard and you just want to check in with the team from now and then, you can come to your boy. So let's talk about something that I'm feeling good about, and that's this pitching rotation slowly getting better. This bullpen slowly getting better. The Astros started off this season with the worst starting pitching in the league, or one of the worst, if not the absolute worst. And because of that, the bullpen was being taxed, and the bullpen wasn't doing too great either. And obviously, without a proper closer, the bullpen was getting beaten up. They were exhausted. The rotation wasn't giving them relief. The rotation is finally starting to figure itself out, and with the return of Hunter Brown imminent, I think this pitching rotation could actually start getting to the strength of the team that we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. We don't want to speak too soon. There's a lot that can still happen. But, we're looking at this rotation. Spencer Arrighetti had an incredible May. We have Mr. Reliable. We have Mr. Reliable, I guess is what I'm now calling Mike Burrows. I said he was going to be the inning eater that Fromber was, and that ended up being one of my better projections and better takes this season. He might not always be a lights-out pitcher, but he goes out there, he pitches a lot of innings, and he gives the bullpen relief. So shout out to Mike Burrows for helping the team out on that, because there was just some days that's all the team needed. They needed bullpen relief from their starting pitcher. Their starting pitcher to go out there and just get 5 to 6 innings. And while Mike Burrows might not always be the pitching performance that we're gonna write home about, he has been able to eat those innings. We also have Peter Lambert, who completely came out of nowhere. The guy he didn't even make the opening day roster. However, he is now pitching pretty consistently as well and should be included towards the top of that rotation. We have Tatsuya Imai, who was a huge part of a no-hitter in Arlington against the Texas Rangers, who is starting to figure it out. Perhaps, look, knock on wood, it was a tough start to the season for Tatsuya Imai, but he's starting to look good. And we have Kai-Wei Tang. Kai-Wei Tang started the season in the bullpen. The Astros traded for Kai-Wei from the San Francisco Giants, and he has been a huge part of the rotation in the last couple of months when everybody was getting injured. And you're adding Hunter Brown to that. We're starting to feel a lot better about that rotation. And obviously with the bullpen, just getting a proper closer will probably make things a whole lot better for that bullpen. Letting Inyel de Los Santos and Brian King kind of be the setup men. Hopefully finding some time to get Brian Abreu back and right now that he won't be in high-pressure situations. I feel better about this bullpen. We still have Steven Okert in there. Perhaps Kai-Wei Tang might have to go back to the bullpen with Hunter Brown coming back. We'll see. But either way, this bullpen and this pitching could be getting a lot better this summer. So while the spring might have been tough, we have some hope for the summer with this team. The lineup, the hitting has not really been the problem this season. don't look now, but Yordan Alvarez might be at the top for AL MVP voting. The guy, he hit a grand slam today. The guy's been incredible. He's been so good that it's kind of baffling why the Astros have been so mediocre this season, because Yordan has been playing outside of his mind. We have Christian Walker playing great. We have Isaac Paredes just hitting home runs, just pulling all of his home runs. He just hit his 100th home run of his career. He hit a big home run in yesterday's game to help win that game against the Athletics. So, when we really look at it, we have those guys. We have Jose Altuve coming back. We have JP3 still doing Pena-esque things. I think there's a lot to be excited about with this lineup as well. I'm saying it. They are primed for a resurgence, not just because they're coming back healthy, but because this division is weak. So I'm not trying to be delusional. I'm trying to be hopeful. I think this team has a lot to give you hope right now. And if they can start winning, if they can just start winning, obviously that's like some John Madden type commentary. What this team needs right now is to win, and that will help them be better. Obviously they need to win, but if they can win some of these series, if they can stop losing series and start winning division games, they could really easily be at the top of the AL West. So here's hoping. We'll see. Obviously, it's gonna take some things to turn around for this team, but I have not given up hope in Joe Espada, the manager of the Astros. I have not given up hope on this team. Now that they're getting healthy, I think they're primed for a resurgence, but we'll see. With that optimism, folks, we're going to take one more break, and we'll be right back to talk about your Rockets and to talk about the Dynamo and the Sun, which are the future Houston Comets. We'll be right back.
H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Ketchup and Mustard is back. If you like red and yellow, if you're like me and you have great memories of the mid-90s Rockets that won 2 back-to-back NBA titles, then you're excited. I definitely was when we got that little promo video teasing that the Rockets, I apologize, are going back to red and yellow. However, once we saw the jerseys, once we saw the logos, I don't know. I was a little, disappointed. I felt like it was a little flat. I guess I was hoping for something besides just the red Rockets are with a little bit of yellow trim. I like the Dunkstronaut. They're really leaning heavily into the Dunkstronaut now, which is the astronaut dunking logo that has been popular for the last couple of seasons now. So I'm excited about that. But it just, honestly, it kind of seemed, and this is no disrespect, I'm not a great graphic designer myself, but it just seemed kind of like an AI graphic design in some kind of way. It just seemed kind of simple, or based off of all the other old logos, and pretty derivative, that it didn't seem. I was hoping for something a little more original, I guess, when it just comes down to it. So the mission patch, I like the concept of having a mission patch be our logo, but it just kind of looks like a yield sign. It's still growing on me, I guess, but it hasn't been too exciting. And I guess overall, you can let me know what you think of these new jerseys, and I'm sure a lot of people are really happy about the red and yellow coming back. If you're a geriatric millennial like me, I'm sure you're very happy about it. But it just seemed a little meh. And the jerseys are I like the fact that they're trying to bring in so many things from other old jerseys. They have the pinstripes, light pinstripes on them. There's a red, white, and black jersey for these Rockets. The lettering kind of is a nod to the old lettering in the 90s. obviously, as well. We have the dunks are not on them. But it's just kind of meh. Overall, I'd give the jerseys and the logos upgrade a B. But that's mostly because where we were at, the jerseys were just basic as hell. Those jerseys were not too exciting. The Rockets' white kits were one of the more mundane jerseys in the entire league. I liked the black jerseys because there was at least some personality to them, but their red and white jerseys were just nothing that anybody was too excited about. So to go from pretty boring and mundane to the ketchup and mustard is an upgrade. I will say that. It is exciting to have that. But I wasn't the most excited about it, and maybe that teaser video with Mo Amir from the Netflix Mo series, which if you haven't checked out, go watch. Don't stop the podcast right now. But when the podcast is over, when you've listened to the entirety of the episode and you hit 5 stars and you liked it wherever you listen, then go on Netflix and watch Mo. It's a great show. If you like H-Town, there's a lot of H-Town representation in there. You will like it. But I think that teaser just got me really excited, and then it just was kind of a deflating look. But let me know what you think of these jerseys. Maybe I'm just being really critical. I've been watching a lot of Project Runway, perhaps. I think I now have a design aesthetic. Who do I think I am? Maybe I just wanted the shark rocket to come back, the rocket with teeth. I think that was pretty fierce. When you could just have any old rocket, but a rocket that can bite you. Now that's something. I don't know. They were really silly, cheesy jerseys, the pajama jerseys of the late 90s and early 2000s. But, I guess something like that at least was taking a swing, at least was taking a shot. So let me know what you think. Maybe I'm just being a little bit critical, being a little bit of a hater. But let me know what you thought of those jerseys. And Texans news, the OTAs have started. It's almost football season. I know I'm one of the few Houstonians that, doesn't rank football as my first sport. So if you're a big football fan, don't worry. We will be talking about Texans on this podcast. The OTAs have started. We're looking for this team to be, honestly, pretty darn good. They have an amazing defense. If they could just figure out this offense, they'll be competing once again in the playoffs this next season. We'll be watching them closely as this team starts to pull it all together. One thing I forgot to mention about the Astros, real quick, seeing that I don't have notes. There is a new catcher. Mi primo Cesar Salazar was DFA'd as the backup catcher. We now have a backup catcher, I believe, Colin Price. Oof. This is not a fun thing I apologize to the new backup catcher for the Astros for not having notes and potentially getting this name wrong. No disrespect. Just a straight up, dad life. I apologize. I should have done this earlier. But, remember Yainer Diaz? Where did he go? Obviously, he did get injured. Christian Vasquez has been a great catcher in his absence when it comes to calling the games, when it comes to defense, when it comes to ABS challenges. It seems like that guy knows the zone a lot better than the umpires with the way he's been challenging them and winning the challenges lately. So we haven't really missed too much with Yainer Diaz being gone, who has had a tough season at the plate, and Christian Vasquez looks to be the better defensive catcher. But we are looking to see when Diaz will return. But, it just kind of reminds me of when, I believe it was 2021, around that era when everybody was saying Dusty was crazy for not starting Yainer Diaz over Martin Maldonado. It's like all that Dusty hate was a little ridiculous. I remember I was defending Maldonado. It's like you want your catcher to be a great defensive catcher, to be a guy that the pitchers depend on for calling the game. If your team needs the catcher to be an offensive superstar, then their lineup might not be that great. But we're hoping Yainer Diaz gets healthy and comes back, even if Christian Vasquez might be slowly winning the position in some kind of a way. But let me know what you think of that. There's lots of discourse about who should be the starting catcher of the Houston Astros at times, and I don't think that's changing this season. we'll see how that goes when Yander Diaz returns healthily. Let's stop real quick at Dynamo Corner. The Houston Dynamo, are 7-1-6. They're 7th in the West. So if you're an MLS fan, if you're a Dynamo fan, first of all, go to the games. Those stands look pretty empty. If you're a Dynamo fan, get yourself out there. I'm sure you can get some affordable tickets right now. Right now there is a World Cup about to happen. So if you're in Houston watching soccer, I'm sure you might be at a different stadium. But give the Dynamo some love for the love of God. Somebody go see those games. But they're doing better than we anticipated this season, at least. And before we finish up and wrap up the podcast, we're looking at the Connecticut Sun. For those of you who've been following the WNBA, you know that the Houston Comets will be returning to Houston next season. That's at least if they can get the rights away from rapper Travis Scott, who for some reason has a shell company that owns the trademark to Houston Comets. I'm sure the WNBA will play, or the Fertitas will pay a lot of money for that name back. But at least right now, we'll see how that that story, that legal drama unfolds. But on the court, the Connecticut Sun are having a tough season right now. They are dead last in the WNBA after losing a game to the Chicago Sky just last night. Which, we're definitely feeling for Sun fans. The people in Connecticut that love women's basketball are definitely going to miss this team. But maybe, while it's bittersweet, while it's bad for them, it could be good for us in Houston, as this team might be able to get into the number one spot in the draft next season to draft a great young player to help build the Comets for the future. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm being a little too crass maybe about the Sun having a tough season for the good people of Connecticut, as we are essentially stealing their team away from them. But look, it isn't us. It isn't the good people of Houston. We just want a WNBA team. We're not trying to take it specifically from you, Connecticut. But with that being said, with me apologizing to the entire population of Connecticut, that's going to be it for this podcast, folks. That's going to do it for this transmission, Space Cadets. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, share, and all that jazz. We are a small podcast and only go as far as our listenership takes us. We're supported by listeners like you, so please give us a share with a Houston fan or Australian in your life and give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen on. You can reach out on social media. If you go to Instagram at Space Cadet Sports, we keep you up to date with Instagram stories. Go check out those stories, folks. Or you can check out the website. Once again, the Substack is spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you could subscribe to support. Obviously there is a premium. Now, the premium, honestly, is just a way to support the podcast. We try to keep that at a very low monthly rate. I'm not trying to keep things behind a paywall so that, you can subscribe and get 99% of the content we put on the Substack. That premium is just a way to help me pay for diapers, folks. Support your boy. Support the producers, Baby Katarina and Carla the dog. You think with the way the Astros have been hitting home runs, with the way Jordan's been going, I'm going to run out of treat money eventually, folks. So you could go there, help support my family, help support me. Let me know what you think of the podcast on the Substack. And if you made it this far, you might like me for some reason. You can find me making jokes, memes, and art. Goodness gracious, Paul. Podcasts, so much more at Paul Salazar Jr., at Paul Salazar Jr. On social media. Check that out. Find my other Substack. If you could just do a Google search, why not, folks? Thanks so much for listening. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos Houston, and abolish ICE.